This is Forward Slash. We're getting our students ready for a new economy. We're told that it's more dynamic, more fast-footed, more flexible than the economy that we lived in. But what are we doing to get them ready? Are we training them in a useful way? The answer to that question may be, we simply don't know.
After a long day at the office a few weeks ago, I was just looking for inspiration. So I switched between a friend-recommended video feed of a conference that was recently organized in Baghdad and a book that David suggested, or maybe I should better say mandated, that I read. Daniel Pink called his book Free Agent Nation, or something of the sort, talking about the future of working for yourself. David told me it's really the textbook for all Generation Y managers. Indeed, the book actually says on its cover that it is, quote, the best book on work since The Organization Man, which was written by William White in the 1950s. White described the post-war American worker. Then, he said, an employee, who was likely a man, put aside his own rugged individualism to work at the feet of some sort of large corporate employer. The employer then compensated for the worker's loyalty with a healthy retirement package and affordable healthcare benefits, among other things. The organization life was no longer desirable after the 1990s, according to Daniel Pink, who believes that a free agent who operates on his or her own terms will dominate the 21st century. So David really gets a gold star for his recommendation because Pink is really right. The problem is that independent careers are such an apparent reality for young workers today that there's really no need for me to recommend Free Agent Nation to my friends. We're already well aware that we're on our own.
Just recently, I was helping Michael, a new graduate, prepare for an organization man kind of career. Unlike most of his peers, he had job offers from two very different kinds of organizations. As I watched him decide between the two, I realized that Michael really had limited experience in working with large, complex entities. Had he been living in the 1950s, the age of William White, he would have spent most of his life in structured organizations, Boy Scouts, church groups, school structures, and even a rigid university curriculum that offered him few electives. Instead of living within that kind of structure, he is part of the texting and Twitter generation that socializes in spontaneously organized flash mobs, spends its days in short-term volunteer activity, and studies for a major so loosely defined that two graduates seldom have taken 3 courses in common. As he weighed the benefits and drawbacks of each job offer, I could see that not only was he afraid that he was going to make the wrong choice, a very common problem among recent graduates, but also that either choice was going to lead him into a rigid group that would limit his creativity. As he described each position, he was more concerned about what the jobs would prevent him from doing than in what they would allow him to accomplish. Eventually, Michael made a choice, and judging from our most recent conversation, seems to be happy with the result. Still, I have the feeling that his career has taken him backward in time and placed him on a track that is organized more like the jobs that my father's generations held than the positions that Daniel Pink sees in contemporary society.
So in another economic climate than the one we have today, young people who enter the workforce might find themselves consumed in a crisis of opportunity. On the surface, all options really seem available and accessible. But today, fewer organizations are offering stable job opportunities. Meanwhile, engineers and MBAs are considering life with a startup or some sort of otherwise cutting-edge firm. The ideal job is both hard to find and hard to get. So we take book recommendations and we listen to our elders. We might not always organize in flash mobs, but we do assemble. And then we continue to search. We read books, we click connect, and we send just one more email in the hopes that it will bring something to fruition. And when we are in need of inspiration, we continue browsing. This has been Forward Slash. We thank our musicians for their theme, and you can read more on computer.org/forward/. This is Erin Diane Dumbacher.
And David Allen Greer.
Thanks for listening.